Kamusta mga ka-SoJTV? Welcome to your weekly dose of Filipino stories of immigration and representation. I'm your host, Janelle So, and you are watching SoJannelleTV. This afternoon on the show, I am so excited to catch up with her and also introduce her to some of you who may have missed that time when she was on our program way back in 2018. Yes. Very long time ago. Adrienne Borlongan of Wanderlust Creamery. Hello and welcome to SoJannelle.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, congratulations on everything. Things are looking up. You now have how many locations?
8 locations.
8 locations.
Building the 9th currently.
And also launching a book.
Yes.
But there's so many things, Adrienne. Take us back to where and how it all started.
Yeah, so back in 2015, I opened my first ice cream shop in an abandoned Cold Stone creamery. I've always had this passion for food all my life, and in late 2014, I became obsessed with ice cream. And so myself and my husband found an abandoned Cold Stones and just decided to throw everything in and take a chance.
What was the concept behind? Because yours is also different. It's not just flavorful and unique flavors of ice cream, but there are stories behind the ice cream.
So it's ice cream inspired by travel, global flavors, but not only that, childhood memories of children of immigrants. So some representation through a medium everyone's familiar with, which is ice cream.
How much planning or strategy did you put into this? Was there written business plan and all that technical stuff, or was it all heart and passion? And
to be honest, there wasn't much planning, and we found that out later after opening Wanderlust. Maybe we should have planned this better. But we just, put our feet to the fire, signed a lease. They gave us a deadline to open, and there was no time to think, no time to plan, just do. And we opened within, I think, 5 months of signing the lease. And everything we know now about business, we learned in the next, I would say, 12 months after opening.
Right.
So we were learning as we were going.
Yeah, it was like on the job training.
Exactly.
What was it like? So what were some of those learnings at the very early stages of business?
We definitely found out that we didn't have enough working capital to start. So I actually worked 2 jobs for almost 14 months after opening Wanderlust. I was moonlighting as a bartender at a nightclub.
Okay.
I would make ice cream all day and then clock into work at 9 p.m. and get home at 4 a.m. So that lasted 14 months after opening Wanderlust. And it wasn't until we started Smorgasburg, which is like a weekly food market in downtown LA, that I finally we made enough income for me to drop my second job.
Right. So that's the first thing. Make sure that you have enough working capital because cash flow is important, right? Yes.
Just learning how to negotiate a lease for all our other locations after that.
You gotta negotiate, right?
Yeah. And learning social media. I have no background in marketing or business or content creation, and just you got to post something. So I would learn on the go. I actually learned photography through this business.
So it sounds to me that once you got in, you were really in it. Did you give yourself a deadline? Did you give yourself goals? Or were you pretty much like, I'm going to do this, blinders, I'm not going to quit?
That's exactly what it was. Because I thought I'm the kind of person, if I stop to think, then I'm going to overthink it, and then I'm not going to get anything done. I'm one of those people who just needs to keep moving.
Right. Was there ever a point when you said, especially when you were working 2 jobs for 14 months, I'm sure it was difficult working throughout the day and then throughout the night. Was there something at a point where you said, this is too hard?
To be honest, no. I didn't have kids yet at that time.
Right.
And it was hard, but I really did enjoy it. I love, as tired as I was coming home at 4 a.m., 9 a.m. I would be up and
wow,
already thinking about oh, I'm gonna do this at the shop, or oh, I need to do this. I was excited about it. There was passion. up until the night before I gave birth to my first child.
Right.
You couldn't get me out of the kitchen. Like, it would be midnight and my husband would be yelling at me like, why are you still here?
Right.
You know, you're pregnant.
Yeah.
But it was finally kids that made me slow down
Right.
and think about, reassess.
Kids do that a lot.
Yeah.
Kids really make you slow down. No matter what everyone says, no matter what anyone says, all moms,
Yes.
in a way, slow down because and parents too, all
Yeah.
parents. We're going to be talking a little bit more because I know what they say. They always say that, we always hear that, build it and they will come. And this is what you've built. And
Yes.
they came.
Yes.
But I wanted to know, the exact point where you thought maybe, oh, this is working out, or oh, I can just like concentrate, and all the other fun stuff when we return on the show. Don't go away. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us here on SoJannelle. Happy Sunday if you're watching on TFC. Happy Saturday if you're watching on ANC. And happy Monday if you're watching us via our new home here in Southern California, KXLA Channel 44. We are also available on demand on I Want TFC. And we are always on social media, on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at SoJannelleTV. Joining us this afternoon, Adrienne, it's been such a pleasure talking to you because I'm getting a lot of tidbits and tips and all that. We all got excited about Wanderlust, and we all got excited even more when we found out that it's Filipino owned. And just to see you here talking about what's it like, how's it been, it's just fills my heart with joy. I know that people are getting inspiration from the nuggets of wisdom that you're dropping today. But I also wanted to ask, this is a show about immigration and representation, and you were actually raised by an immigrant single mom.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so my mom came here pregnant with my sister, my twin sister and I, in 1985.
She's matapang. What
Yeah.
brave girl. Okay.
Yeah, alone. And she was actually couch surfing with acquaintances, that she knew back from the Philippines. She didn't have any friends or family here, and yeah, we made it through that.
Did she ever share with you why she moved here?
She moved here because she got pregnant with us late in life.
Okay.
And she decided it's time for a new start, and she wanted us to be American citizens, and just wanted a brand new start for us.
Right.
Yeah.
And growing up, you saw that. You saw the hustle. You saw the grit. You must have gotten that from your mom.
Definitely.
What are some of the life lessons that you learned from her, whether through observing her in life or whether she's given you advice?
My mom was always calmly stressed. I could tell she was stressed. Like, oh, how am I gonna make enough money to support my family?
Yeah.
I don't know anyone here. How am I gonna make it by? But then there was always this calmness about her. Like, in the back of her head, she knew that everything would be okay in the end, as long as she had God on her side or whatever.
Right.
And I think I get that from her too.
Uh-huh.
Like, people can't really tell that I'm freaking out
Really?
about things sometimes,
Uh-huh.
but it's just because I'm worried, but in the back of my head, I know everything will be okay.
Yep.
So I get that from her, this like silent confidence.
Right. Everything will be okay in the end, and your worry brings me back to the time when we first featured you on the show. That was 2018.
Yes.
And we've gone through the pandemic, 2020. So by 2020, Wanderlust was what, 5 years old?
Yes.
And thriving at the time.
Yes.
And then pandemic.
Yes.
What was that like?
Oh, I want to say the first couple weeks of March was very scary.
That was a stay-at-home order.
The stay-at-home order. Business came to a halt. We were literally calculating, like, okay, we need to sell X amount of scoops to keep the lights on.
Right.
To keep this employee.
Right.
It was very difficult, but luckily our product allowed us to stay in business because we're not a sit-down restaurant.
Yes.
So many people were coming in and just buying pints. So that really saved us, and then we started shipping our pints nationwide. And that really saved our business. Every store became a fulfillment center where we would ship pints out all across the country. And so that really helped us as well.
And so what tip would you give those who may, like you, not just the pandemic, but also different issues, different concerns, different glitches in their life, in their business? What advice would that be?
I would say to look outside the box, to think outside the box, because had I thought only inside the box, I would think, okay, well, how can I sell scoops to my local community? You have to like think beyond that, get creative.
Right. You have been always creative anyway, just with the concept behind Wanderlust, which are ice cream flavors. That's all your creation. Tell me, where do you get these inspirations from?
You know, they can come from anything, from my personal experiences traveling abroad, or, you know, if a relative or a friend comes home from a trip and they bring me a souvenir, I'll think of an ice cream flavor that I can make out of it. Like if someone brings you back like a unique ingredient from Italy, you know, like how could this be an ice cream flavor? Or even like immigrant stories. A lot of immigrant stories inspire our flavors. Like, for example, you know, I grew up with an El Salvadorian best friend, and you know, what they consider dessert or what they consider childhood and nostalgic for them can become a flavor for us. So
I love that. Yeah. And how long does it take you to create a flavor, and how do you know whether to stick with it? Because I know you have your regulars, and then you have seasonal flavors.
It takes me about a month or two to develop a flavor and then tweak it and perfect it. And then it has to pass the JP test, whether it's cost effective to make this flavor, because some of our flavors are pretty like labor intensive and intricate. And I'll post something on Instagram and be like, what do you guys think of this flavor? And I'll gauge on the response, and if it passes, it passes.
And what I find fascinating is that you've always had it in you. This is actually in your genes, in your blood. Because you found out after opening your first Wanderlust that you are
a descendant of ice cream making family. Yeah, so as it turns out, after my father passed away when I was really young, and I was selling chocolate bars for a school fundraiser. And somebody recognized my last name. I have my last name Borlongan is not a very common Filipino last name. Someone recognized my last name and was like, hey, where did you buy this candy bar from? And the person told them, and then they came to my house, knocked on my door, and introduced themselves as my dad's sister.
So your tita.
My tita, yeah, my tita baby. And she was like, yeah, I live, you know, 20, 30 minutes away with your Lola. Would you like to meet her? And so I met them, and you know, they actually welcomed me into the family. They would see us regularly. I would learn tidbits about my dad's side of the family through my tita and my Lola. I learned that they were all raised in Singapore. And they worked for a company called San Miguel. And at the time, from what I understood, San Miguel was a beer company. It wasn't later until I opened Wanderlust that I found out they worked for Magnolia, which is a subsidiary of San Miguel. And my grandfather, my Lolo Eliseo, was a flavor chemist for Magnolia from 1930 up until the 1970s.
Wow, I'm getting goosebumps. Was I'm sure it was the same for your tita and your Lola. What was that revelation like? Did you tell them or did they tell you?
My Tito Jack, my dad's brother, told me. And he actually told me an interesting story that my dad, who was the eldest, was supposed to follow in Lolo Eliseo's footsteps, because at the time, apparently San Miguel let any employee grandfather their position to their children. And so my dad got a master's in chemical engineering to take my grandfather's place, but at the very last minute decided, I don't want to do this, I want to do business. So he went and got his MBA in the States. But it kind of
and here you are.
It parallels my story because, you know, my mom always wanted me to become a nurse, of course. And I went through all the prerequisites to become a nurse. And, you know, on the first day of nursing school, I told my mom, you know what, I don't want to do this. I want to do something else. So it kind of parallels the same story to the rest of the family. I think they find it really interesting. And serendipitous, and they tell me stories that my lolo had like a little office in the back of the house where he would like use as a test kitchen and test. And my tita baby, the one that found me, she blames her childhood figure on the fact that she was the only taste tester left at home.
Oh, which brings me to another question, like, who is your taste tester? Because you seem to be taking care of yourself,
thank you.
Right?
I hire people with really good palates in the kitchen.
Right.
So I have at least 5 people.
Do you taste your own creations?
Yes, I do.
Do you ever get hooked on any of them?
To be honest, I'm not an ice cream person anymore. I used to love ice cream, but after starting an ice cream business, I just can't enjoy it because I'm always analyzing, like,
Right.
even
Other brands.
I feel like the only ice cream I can eat without over analyzing is like grocery ice cream, because
It's grocery, yeah.
But I feel like I can't enjoy it anymore.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna be talking a little bit more about that, some of your favorite flavors when you still enjoyed ice cream, and where you plan to take this, because it seems to me that the only direction is up. The trajectory looks very good and promising. We'll be talking about that when we return. Don't go away.